Dennis in Elmhurst, Illinois. Hey, Dennis, you wanted to talk about Germany?
Yeah. In this country, we have a progressive tax based on income. Does Germany have a progressive tax based on income?
Yes.
Or is it a flat tax?
No. It's a progressive tax that it's been a couple of years since I've looked at the numbers. The last time I did, I think the top tax rate was 56%.
And in this country, it's what, under 40?
Yeah, it's 36 and change, 36.9, I think.
All right.
And if you earn and in the United States, if you earn your money with money as opposed to by working for a living, in other words, a brain surgeon who makes $400,000 a year will pay 36% on the last 100,000 or so that they make. But Mitt Romney, somebody who makes their money by investing, they pay a maximum either 15 or 20%. I think the capital gains have now gone up to 20%, but they pay a maximum 20% income tax rather than that 36% income tax. And here's a poignant story about this because if some right winger says, oh yeah, it's Germany has free education, free healthcare, but my taxes are going to go explode. There was first of all, the taxes of average working people don't explode, and secondly, they have quite high wages there. The average industrial wage in Germany is $54 an hour. So
wow.
even if this is like what Volkswagen pays in Germany, right? And it's one of the reasons why they're building factories here in the United States for the U.S. market. But the point is that there was a year or so ago, I was maybe longer than that. I was watching. I'm pretty sure it was Bloomberg. They have a show that I used to be able to catch. In fact, it must have been when I lived in Portland because it was, we catch it on satellite TV and it was it was one of these kind of overnight shows out of Singapore. And the interviewer was an American who was in Singapore or maybe Hong Kong, one or the other. And he was interviewing a German businessman who was a very, very wealthy German businessman. And he said, the interviewers, and they were talking about, the economy and just, all this macroeconomic stuff. And at one point, the interviewer, this kid from America, this reporter from America, said, how much do you pay in income taxes, by the way? And the German businessman said, well, I think I pay around 55%, 56%, or whatever it was. I don't remember the exact number, but it was in that neighborhood. It was steep. And on the high end of my income, I mean, of course, the first couple $100,000, I pay much less on income taxes on that because it's a progressive system. And this reporter said, well, how can you deal with that? I mean, isn't that terrible? And the guy said, no, it's fine with me. I have plenty of money. And they went on to another topic. And then the reporter came back to it and he said, I still don't get how you're not angry about all the income taxes you're paying. And the guy said, well, our country works. We look out for each other. And I have no problem paying these income taxes. I have a very good income. And so then they changed topics again. And then a third time, this reporter comes back and he says to this German businessman, he says, I still don't get it. Why are you not furious? Where are all the other people like you who are multimillionaires, who earn millions of dollars a year, who are paying 56% in income taxes? Why are you not organizing a tax revolt in Germany? And the guy looked at him like, what kind of idiot are you? And he said, I do not want to be a rich man in a poor country.
Yeah.
And that just stopped the conversation.
My right-wing friends, every time I bring this up, about Scandinavian countries and not going broke when you're sick,
right?
Or getting an education and not coming out of college with, $200,000 in student loans.
Right.
They all say, well, yeah, but if the government handled all that and it was all free, our taxes would be ridiculous.
No, in all probability, the people you're talking to, their taxes would not be any different. I mean, we have a top 36% tax rate. I'm guessing that anybody you meet in a bar is not paying that. Right? You've got to earn over $400,000 or over $300,000, whatever it is, to start bumping up against that tax rate.
So if we went with free college and let's say universal health care and it was all not for profit based,
right?
Do you think our taxes would then be in that neighborhood, a progressive tax with a top end of about that 55%?
I think it would work, and in fact, if you look, you'll find the background and the research for this in a book I wrote called "Rebooting the American Dream." But Larry Beinhardt did some really, really great research on this. What he found is that whenever, and not just in the United States, all over the world, whenever the top tax rate on really rich people is over 50%, then you have a stable economy. The economy cools down. Not cools down like it gets bad, but you don't have bubbles and bursts. And whenever the top tax rate goes below 50%, then you get these 10 to 15-year cycles of boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust. And the reason why is quite simply explained. It's very easy to understand. It's that when people are paying 40, 50, 60% income tax on the, they don't pay that on the first couple $100,000, but they start paying that on the, or it used to be back, before Reagan, it might be the first million, you don't pay that. But after that, you start paying this high income tax rate. At that point, they start treating their money like it's really precious. It was hard to get that money, and so they invested very carefully and very cautiously. You drop that income tax rate down to 28%, as Ronald Reagan did, or even as low as 30%, as long as it's below 50%, 36%. What happens is that the money is easy to get, right? And so with all this hot money that was easily acquired, people will throw it into risky investments, and that's how you get bubbles. And so not only would raising the top tax rate not affect anybody you're going to meet in a bar, it's only going to affect the top 0.1%, but it also will stabilize the economy. And if we were to roll back the Reagan tax cut, we could easily pay for college education for everybody in this country, and we could pay for a national health care system. It's very, very simple. And with regard to Social Security, you want to stabilize our national pension system for the all-time world without end, amen, simply lift the cap. Right now, anybody who makes over $130,000 or $118,000, whatever it is, it's in that neighborhood. Anybody who makes more than that, after they've paid Social Security taxes on that first $118,000, their tax rate goes to zero. It's the opposite of a progressive tax rate. Instead of going up, it goes to zero. So if you simply made Social Security a flat tax, the stuff that Steve Forbes talks about, then the Social Security program would not just be solvent forever, but it would be solvent with enough extra money that you could substantially raise Social Security benefits. Dennis, thank you for the call. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
Once again, this is not rocket science. Germany is doing this, as most European countries do, and they are not going down in flames. They're doing very well, thank you.